Chapter 160, Unrivaled Martial Arts. Grasping the weakness of the girl, we had to sacrifice a few of our brothers to tie her down while the rest go on to take the lass away. However, at this time, the Ling residence's guards noticed our presence, and started to give chase. Only after the rest of our brothers pitted their lives to halt them did the three of us manage to escape the battle. The youth had already lowered his head, guilt written all over his face. This doesn't make sense. As the saying went, an old ginger is spicier compared to the young ginger. The elders immediately found a flaw in the entire story. If the lady was as strong as what you described, then how could you people even slip past her? After all, the Ling residence's guards spotted you guys? Where did she go after the guards came out? Zhou furrowed his brows and thought for a long while, before he replied with some uncertainty. From the looks of it, after the guards spotted us, the female expert never appeared again. The three of us were also exceedingly careful, following the set route and taking a large detour before slipping back here. We did not find out that we were being followed. Zhou was no fool, and immediately guessed what the elders were worried about. Hearing this, the group of people furrowed their brows once again, exchanging glances. They simultaneously came to the same conclusion. Don't tell me. The female was not part of the Zhou family nor the Ling family? This was the only plausible reason. If it was not for the fact that she belonged to neither party, and only met them by chance, she would have definitely attempted to save Zhou Yan-Zoo. At this point, the four of them heaved a sigh of relief. Thinking about how they had lost 17 good fighters in a single mission, the four of them could not help but feel heavy and hurt at the loss. Zhou Yan looked at the gunny sack held by Zhou, and her gaze sharpened. Let her out. I want to see how the little princess of the Zhou family looks like. With a grunt of acknowledgement, Zhou opened the gunny sack, exposing the graceful and svelte body of a woman. Clothed in black, along with a face of peerless beauty, that was precisely Zhou Yan-Zoo. She resembled a bewitching begonia at this moment, her face filled with a charming flush. Her eyes were tightly shut, and her long lashes enchanted everyone present. Examining this city-toppling beauty who men would go crazy for, the violence and hatred in Zhou Yan's eyes grew all the more intense. Go. Bring her over to Mama Yang, and let her get a good lesson. Just for this little slut, I actually lost 17 of my brother in arms. If I don't let the Zhou family be completely humiliated, how can I answer to them? How can I answer to the various members of the Shangguan family, who have been plotted to death by the Zhou family? A ferocious look appeared on Zhou Yan's face. Riled up by her emotions, her chest heaved up and down violently, and a hint of blood appeared on the corners of her mouth, where she had forcefully bit down. Yes. Elder sister. A cruel smile appeared on the face of the bloke named Zhou, a sort of crazed lust surfacing at his eyes. At this point, the death of his 17 brothers, who had sacrificed their lives to save him, had long been thrown to the back of his mind. No doubt, this was the nature of men. Seeing his face, Zhou Yan seemed to have her reservations. In the end, she did not say anything, and only weakly dismissed him with a wave. Zhou bent his waist, grabbing onto Zhou Yan-Zoo's dainty waist and prepared to carry her down. Looks of envy appeared on the faces of the other two men standing guard. At this point, the window of the tower suddenly exploded into smithereens, and a black shadow, that seemed to have come from the 9th level of hell, appeared, carrying with him a wave of killing intent as he walked over leisurely. Even when stepping into an expert's territory, the assailant's attitude was just as though he was taking a stroll in his own backyard, his entire presence exuding an elegant and relaxed aura of cruelty. The movements of the black-robed shadow seemed leisurely, but was immeasurably quick. Before anyone could react, he had already reached the side of the unconscious Zhou Yan-Zoo. Everyone gaped at the scene. The three elders had the fastest reaction, and shouted threateningly as they threw themselves forward. 6 palms from the trio were pushed out, aiming for the black shadow. All three of them had the same thought, This man cannot leave alive, or the 10-odd years of conserving the Shangguan family's strength will go down the drain. In that moment, they unleashed their full strength. The black-robed figure merely spun on the spot, returning all their attacks with his own palms. Ping 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 ping. 6 loud sounds were heard, as though 6 claps of thunder sounded in succession. In this short instant, the black-robed man actually exchanged 2 palm strikes from each of the elders. The resulting gale was so strong that the people in the surroundings could not remain stably standing. With her injury, Gu Ziyan was even blown back onto her bed. It was only after the gale subsided that the crowd noticed, in shock, that the 3 elders had all retreated, their faces pale like color of milk, with similar expressions of shock. With a heave of their chests, the trio each spat out a mouth of blood. Looking at the black-robed person, they realized that he only took a step back in response. With a heavy impact, his feet broke the floorboards beneath with a caca sound, sending a wave through the pavilion. To think that he was actually able to divert the strength of the palm strikes through the soles of his feet, this was as good as the 3 elders attempting to attack the small pavilion. Xiaowu and the rest were actually waiting for the time where the elders struck, to take advantage of the situation. As such, they had also thrown themselves forward with knives raised. However, to think that the black-robed man had not bothered with them at all. With the gale created from the palm strikes, he easily sent them flying backwards. Suddenly, the 3 elders flicked their sleeves, and sent countless silvery bolts towards the assailant. At the same time, a few of the middle-aged women standing by the side raised their hands, and a pinkish fog started to pervade the entire room. With a cold smile, the black-robed man's hands gestured in the empty air, and the tens of silver needles actually fell into his palms, like how rivers always led to the sea. Immediately flicking his sleeves, powerful internal strength was released, gathering the pink fog into a small ball. Casually sending it out of the window, the pink fog dissipated completely in the rain without a trace of it left. In this short instance, the martial arts displayed by the black-robed man had completely killed any intentions the crowd had of resistance. To engage in a frontal clash with the 3 elders who had decades of cultivation, to discern hidden weapons by sound alone and capture all of them, and to manipulate his internal strength to completely remove all traces of poison fog, throwing it out like one would throw a rubber ball. This sort of strength, not to mention seeing it before, they had never heard of such a thing. The crowd could not help but cast worrying glances at him, all of them feeling a chill in their scalps. This black-robed man was precisely Ling Tian, who had followed Gu Ziyan back. With 2 caw sounds, Ling Tian extricated his feet like it was a normal occurrence. Stretching his neck, he lightly snubbed his nose. From his eyes, one could see an expression of delight at this Bruce Lee-esque way of showing off, very dashing, very. "May I know the name of this honored sire? What purpose would you have, to come here deep in the night?" Having experienced Ling Tian's unrivaled martial arts, the elders were, after all, no newbies and immediately realized that it was pointless trying to resist him. The 3 of them already ended up with injuries from their previous exchange. Even if they were to combine forces, they might not even be his match. Thus, they could only resort to polite tones to reason out with the man, albeit with much dread. Ling Tian snorted once, before coldly replying, "Shangguan family. He he he. What a good smoky Thea tower. What a good Gu Ziyan. Good. Good. Good." He expressed his approval thrice, but it seemed so full of sarcasm and ridicule. Furthermore, there seemed to be some anger hidden inside, as though saying, "To hide under my eyelids for a good decade or so, what a good capability." Gu Ziyan ignored the severe wounds on her body to sit upright on her bed as she replied indignantly, "What's with that response, honored sir? The Shangguan family had long turned into dust, and only the few of us, miserable stragglers, are left. We're merely dragging out an ignoble existence, so how can we easily reveal ourselves? Honored sir, You might be matchless in your martial skill, but you do not even possess a shred of reason. If you insist on using your skills to bully us, while we may not be your opponent, we will definitely fight you to the bitter end." Ling Tian did not grant her any attention, instead callously spitting, "Reason? The feud between the Shangguan and Zhou families is not an unknown matter. A feud must be settled, a debt must be paid. This is the way of heavens and none can refute. If you decide on an open fight, with Providence deciding your fate, that would be acceptable. To think that the great Shangguan family would actually stoop so low as to kidnap a little girl. This, I can't sit aside to watch." Gu Ziyan replied sternly, "Life-death battle? Head-on collision? How can we even stand a chance against them? For enemies like them, any path that would grant us our revenge will be the right path, regardless the means necessary. Sir is an outsider, so why must you butt your nose into other people's problems?" Gu Ziyan seemed to possess a staunch character. Even when faced with a peerless expert, and knowing that she was not his match, she still chose to confront his words. First, she tried to use reason. Then, she talked about compelling them to their deaths, all to gain Ling Tian's sympathy. However, that glint in her eyes betrayed her true intentions. Peerless experts were usually people with status in the real world, so how could they stoop so low as to argue with a woman of low status? This was what Gu Ziyan thought. So long as she could ensnare him in her conversation, she could at least secure the lives of the people around her. Even if he were to walk away without doing anything, given his position as a peerless expert, he would definitely stay silent about them, which could give them a way to continue living. Thus, Gu Ziyan was sure that, so long as the man even bothered to reply her, she could send him packing out of this place. When it came to debates, Gu Ziyan was confident that there was no one her match in sky-bearing. Chapter 161, A Small Punishment. While Gu Ziyan had a look of righteousness, looking as though she would fight to the death, she was no more than an unreasonable woman making a scene in Ling Tian's eyes. Ling Tian looked at her calmly with mockery in his eyes. "Gu Ziyan, your lousy schemes are useless against me. Do you really think that I won't kill a lady? Especially a lady like you?" Gu Ziyan felt her heart turn cold as the thousands of words she prepared in her heart became useless. She could not help but shout, "Then why don't you kill me? Come kill me. If you kill me, the others can witness how a top-notch martial arts expert kills a vulnerable lady. Come kill me. Kill me." As she said that, she inched towards Ling Tian. Ling Tian chuckled and said calmly, "Gu Ziyan, do you believe that if you say another word today, this daddy here will strip you naked and throw you onto the streets? Then, I will summon 100 men to take turns to rape you and hang you on the city gates. By the side of your body, I will then hang a flag-riding successor of the Shangguan family, Gu Ziyan. I will let the fame of your already forgotten Shangguan family spread across the continent again. The fame of your Shangguan family will be restored to its former glory. It would also be fulfilling your greatest wish." In his calm tone, an unquestionable aura emanated from Ling Tian. In that instant, everyone present could not help but have a chill run down their spine. They all could not help but think to themselves, "This man will definitely accomplish what he says. He is the reincarnation of a devil." As Gu Ziyan faced Ling Tian's cold eyes, she felt as though there wasn't a trace of emotion which could be seen within it. It was as though it was a lake of still water staring at her silently. She could not help but shudder from the fear. As her lips twitched, she just did not dare to say another word. The first elder then walked forward. "Sir, for your martial arts to be at such a profound level, I believe that you must definitely be someone of high stature. How can you treat a lady as such? You will definitely become the greatest joke of the world." Ling Tian interrupted him, "Don't talk to me about the rules of the pugilistic world. To talk about these rules with you guys, it is no more than bullshit. Darn old man, go to one side. Gu Ziyan, wasn't your tongue very sharp? Come. Just say another word. Just say another word for me. You can experiment for yourself to see if I would dare to do that. Do you really think I wouldn't dare?" Zhou Yan retreated in fear and accidentally knocked over a vase by her side. Her expression was flustered, but she shut her lips tightly, afraid that a shriek by her would frustrate this demon in front of her. Ling Tian sneered and turned around to look at Ziawu. "The three of you made a mistake today. I will give you guys a small punishment, lest your smoky Thea Tower forget about this lesson." The Ziawu trio looked at Ling Tian with begging expressions, as their legs began to tremble with fear. While they were still holding on to their sabers, they no longer had the strength to even lift it up. This person was someone who even the three elders were not able to face. Just how would we be able to win against him? The first elder then said, "Sir, I hope that you will show some mercy." The three of them did not offend Miss Zhou at all. "May you shut up!" Ling Tian hollered and turned around, staring at the first elder with a piercing glare. "Do you have an opinion?" Facing those black pupils filled with killing intent, the first elder felt his heart turn cold, and he could not help but tremble. His face turned pale as he stammered for a long while before answering, "No. None. At all." The other two elders turned around and faced the wall, afraid of making a single move. They were afraid that a slight cough from them now would bring troubles upon themselves. All of a sudden, it was as though they found the wall to be extremely beautiful, studying it with all of their attention. After staying in the pugilistic world for such a long time, they became more and more timid. The older they grew, the more afraid of death they became. This could completely describe how the three elders were acting. Knowing that they were not a match for their opponent, they immediately became soft. Seeing that their enemy was about to deal with their own men, they did not even dare to plead on their behalves because of a single glare by Ling Tian. At this moment, Ling Tian could not help but feel a sense of sorrow for them. After hiding for so many years, and living such a meaningless life, all of their ambitions and valor were completely lost. These three people were no longer living for revenge, but just to ensure that they could lead a longer life. These three elders, who were of a higher position than Zhou Yan, were even less courageous than a lady like Zhou Yan. While Zhou Yan was vicious and despicable, her unscrupulous means were understandable, and she was, at the very least, someone with guts. As for these three elders, while they had some strength, they were no more than living zombies. When the first elder said that Ling Tian was angered because of Zhou Yan-Zoo, his guess was completely wrong. The reason why Ling Tian wanted to punish the Ziawu trio was completely unrelated to Zhou Yan-Zoo. Their first crime was because they dared to barge into his Ling residence. Their second crime was because they disturbed Ling Chen. Their third crime was because Ling Chen had to be drenched in the rain because of them, despite of it being her inconvenient time of the month. These were the three crimes which they had committed. They must definitely be punished for those three crimes. While these may not be much in the eyes of others, this was something unforgivable in Ling Tian's eyes. With a cold laughter, his leg shot out and smashed into the left side of the burly man's crotch. With the sound of an egg breaking, that burly man opened his mouth with agony on his face, but he just could not even let out a cry of pain. His eyes turned white as his body collapsed on the floor, fainting on the spot. None of them would have imagined that Ling Tian's small punishment would be to cripple the most important part of a man. They could not help but let out a cry of shock. As Ziawu and the remaining burly man saw the plight of their brother, they could not help but think about fighting for their lives as Ling Tian looked into their directions. As a man, if they were to suffer from such an injury, what meaning would there be for them to remain alive? They could not help but let out a battle cry, brandishing their sabers at Ling Tian. The both of them grit their teeth with a face full of hatred. I never imagined that the Shangguan family would still have two men. A pity they won't be in the future. Ling Tian said with sarcasm. At the same time, he showed no mercy to the only two men of the Shangguan family. As the two men brandished their sabers, It formed an impenetrable-looking wall of blade lights. But with a single kick by Ling Tian, he easily broke through the wall and aimed his kick accurately at the crotch of another burly man. The force of this kick was obviously much stronger than before. This burly man was sent flying from this kick, as blood sprayed out from the holes on his head and a cry of agony sounded. Before his body even landed on the ground, he had already taken his last breath in midair. Of the three burly men, only the one called Zhou was left. With a face full of fear and despair, he let out a roar, and tossed his saber at Ling Tian before turning to run. Ling Tian's body floated up and dodged the saber easily. Like an eagle catching its prey, his right hand had already pressed onto Zhou's crown. As his fingers tightened and his wrist twisted, Zhou's head had been torn off neatly. Despite losing his head, Zhou still ran for another 7 to 8 steps before falling on the steps of the tower as a pillar of blood spewed out from his severed neck. With such a cruel display in front of their eyes, everyone felt their souls leaving their body, without a single trace of courage left in them. The two middle-aged ladies let out a shriek before fainting on the spot. The three elders and Zhou Yan also felt their eyelids twitch and their heartbeat race. They almost thought that they were in a nightmare. There was actually such a cruel method to kill someone. Ling Tian then looked at the rest coldly. With a flick of his feet, Zhou Yan-Zoo's body was already in his bosom. He supported her body with one hand and threw Zhou's head up with another. The round head then shot up towards the sky like a rocket, with the sounds of swooshing winds accompanying it. With a loud crash, a hole was made on the roof of the tower and the head flew up into the sky. Then, rain began to leak from the hole of the roof. If all of you don't want the Shangguan family to be exterminated, the whole Smoky Thea Tower would have to listen to my command for the next 2 months. If not. Before he left, he simply left behind a command with an unquestionable tone, before leaving the room from the window with Zhou Yan-Zoo's body. The next moment, he had already disappeared from all of their sights, without a trace to be seen. Zhou Yan and the three elders from the Shangguan family looked at each other. Up until now, they were still wondering if everything that just happened was a dream. Were they in a nightmare, or was all of that reality? That previous scene was just too unbelievable. There was actually someone like that in the world. There was actually such a cruel method to kill someone in the world. There was actually such a powerful set of martial arts in the world. Dong. A round item then fell from the hole which was previously made by Ling Tian, falling onto the floor with a dull thud. As the four of them looked over, they saw that it was the head which Ling Tian threw up previously. With a round pair of angered eyes and blood still spewing out from the neck, the head rolled on the floor like a soccer ball. Wah! Zhou Yan, who was trying her best to hold her disgust in, could not take it any longer. She began to vomit on the spot, vomiting unceasingly like the waves of an ocean. Chapter 162, Saving Yan-Zoo. Ling Tian drifted out from the window, his body looking as though it was as light as a feather. At the same time, it seemed as though Zhou Yan-Zoo's weight had no effect on Ling Tian at all. Witnessing the exquisiteness of his movement techniques, everyone was dumbfounded. You have to know, the Shangguan family was famous for their movement techniques, on par with the Beiming family as the top of the continent. Zhou Yan had always been proud of her movement techniques. But seeing Ling Tian's movement technique today, she finally understood the meaning of there is always someone higher. However, this did not mean that Ling Tian's movement technique was better than the inherited technique of the Shangguan family. The inherited technique of the Shangguan family, the mythical fairy steps, was considered to be the best movement technique in the world today. While Ling Tian's 9 Heavens Dragon Cruising Steps was also the most powerful movement technique in his previous world, it wasn't necessarily better than the mythical fairy steps. The only reason why the Shangguan family would be dumbfounded was because they were unable to bring out the full might of the mythical fairy steps, but Ling Tian had. Together with Ling Tian's profound and thick inner qi, it was only natural for the Shangguan family to be shocked. After finally successfully shocking an unknown power, Ling Tian's frustrations had finally been vented. Being in a good mood, even the thunderstorm felt like it was a gentle rain. As compared to finding out about the Smoky Thea Tower and Shangguan family, being in the rain for the whole night was something completely insignificant. Ling Tian was not worried about the Shangguan family disobeying him. In fact, if they even dared to pay lip service to him, catastrophe would definitely befall upon them. First, he knew the secret of the Shangguan family hiding in the sky-bearing city. As long as he spreads this piece of news out, the Shangguan family would definitely be wiped out without him taking action at all. Second, Ling Tian had already displayed his own strength. To the Shangguan family, this was something extremely shocking. It would also make them feel extremely helpless. The present Shangguan family was no longer like before, and they would definitely not dare to provoke an expert like Ling Tian. This was the main reason why Ling Tian made such a forceful appearance in front of them. Together with the way he killed the three burly men, it was a way for him to demonstrate his prowess. If not for the fact that killing those three old uncowardly elders would cause irreparable damage to Zhou Yan's organization, Ling Tian would have killed the three of them instead. Third, the strength of the Shangguan family had already declined to the lowest possible point, and this can be observed from the number of experts they possessed. Although they did a good job of concealing themselves, and even hiding from Ling Tian's information net, the moment their identities were revealed, all of their efforts over the past few years would go down the drain. Now, the Shangguan family was only equivalent to a gang in the pugilistic world. As compared to the 8 great families in the continent, they were worlds apart. As for seeking revenge with the Zhou family and the other great families, that was no more than a dream. However, Ling Tian's appearance gave them a chance to turn this dream into reality. After all, Ling Tian's strength was there for them to witness. At the very least, he can be considered a life-saving herb for them. As such, regardless of their perspective, their best choice would be to work with Ling Tian. Thus, Ling Tian was certain that they would definitely agree. Ling Tian, who was in the sky, revealed a smile. As he turned into a street, he suddenly concealed himself. A short while later, a nimble figure landed on the roof without any sound being made, and her movement technique was even better than Zhou Yan's. In her beautiful eyes, there was a trace of doubt, as though she was surprised as to why Ling Tian disappeared. All of a sudden, Ling Tian appeared behind her without a trace. This nimble figure was also a top-notch expert, detecting him immediately. "Pa!" With a crisp pa sound, Ling Tian had slapped her butt. With the already tight-fitting clothes being drenched, Ling Tian felt as though this slap of his landed on the lady's naked skin. The young lady let out a lovable gasp, and without looking, she dived into Ling Tian's embrace. At the same time, she stomped her foot in habit, forgetting that she was on the roof of someone's house. The next instant, the sound of a few tiles breaking could be heard. It was just too embarrassing for an expert of movement techniques to crack the tiles on the roof. The young lady then could not help but be startled as she dived into Ling Tian's embrace without making another movement. Taking off her mask gently, a country-toppling beauty appeared before him. Apart from Ling Chen, who else can she be? Ling Tian had originally found it to be strange, with Ling Chen standing guard at home, how could those fellows abduct Zhou Yan-Zoo so easily? Even if Ling Chen wasn't willing to kill, they should not have been able to succeed. In the end, it was just this lass going easy on them. Perhaps, the three of them were only able to return to the Smoky Thea Tower because of Ling Chen drawing away the guards. However, just what was her motive of doing so? Gently patting Ling Chen on the back, Ling Tian did not ask her anything. He only gave a very simple instruction: "Wait for me at home." While the rain was not as heavy as before, Ling Tian was still afraid that Ling Chen's body would not be able to take it, especially since it was during that special time of the month. While Ling Tian did not have a girlfriend in his past life, even if he did not eat pork he would know how a pig looks like, He still had common knowledge about the fact that a lady should not catch a cold during that special time of the month. Even if Ling Chen's martial arts was a head above the rest, she was still a lady. Furthermore, she was his own lady. After nodding her head twice in Ling Tian's embrace, Ling Chen lifted her head up and looked at Ling Tian. Then, she stretched her neck and kissed Ling Tian on the cheeks. By the time Ling Tian felt the ecstasy from that warm lips touching his face, Ling Chen had already taken off into the night sky and disappeared in the rain. Zhou Yan-Zoo only felt as though she had woken up from a long dream, being filled with a sense of incredulity. She only remembered that she was at the guest courtyard of the Ling residence, waiting for Zhou Fengying and her other two elders to return from catching the thief. All of a sudden, she detected a strange fragrance. Then, she saw a few burly men, with masks covering their faces, barge into the room. Before she even had a chance to panic, she had already fainted on the spot and did not know what happened after that. When she opened her eyes, she realized that she was in a deserted alley, under a tattered roof. The rain was still dripping down, splashing down onto her body and making her feel a sense of cold. She then thought about how she had been knocked unconscious, and could not help but have a change of expression as fear could be seen in her eyes. It seems that I have been unconscious for some time already. Furthermore, I was brought to such a place unknowingly. Don't tell me I. In anxiousness, her face turned white as she instinctively used her hands to check her body. At the same time, she also used her eyes to scan all over her body. Only after a long while did she let out a sigh of relief. Thank goodness, I am still me. I have not. Zhou Yan-Zoo did not dare to continue down that line of thought. If something like that were to happen to her, she won't be able to wash off such a humiliation, even if she were to die on the spot. Are you at ease already? A calm voice sounded from behind her, seeming to carry a tinge of ridicule within it. But in the ears of Zhou Yan-Zoo, it had the effect of thunder. Turning her body around swiftly, she used her hands to cover her chest as she realized that she could move her body normally without any restriction on her inner chi. A slim black-dressed man was leaning on the wall, with a pair of calm eyes looking past Zhou Yan-Zoo's body, and looking towards the rain outside instead. Towards such a scene which would move the hearts of many men, he was able to ignore it completely. As Zhou Yan-Zoo thought about it for a moment, she immediately understood that this person must have saved her. Being a member of the Zhou family, she immediately regained her cool and said with a respectful bow, "Thank you." As she said that, she did not know how to continue. Just who should she thank? As she looked at the face covered by the mask, she was only able to determine that the other party was a male. She couldn't even tell if he was young or old. Just how should she address him? As though he was smiling, that black-dressed man said indifferently, "There is no need to thank me. I just happened to be there and saved you out of convenience. It is just like a person walking on the streets. If he were to see a puppy or kitten being injured, he would definitely take pity on it and save it. It is only natural for me to do so and there is no need for thanks." While his words were casual, Zhou Yan-Zoo was incensed. Damn it. To think that you would compare me, the princess of the Zhou family, to a little kitten or puppy. Her face could not help but turn green, before turning white, then turning red. In that moment, she was unable to say a thing. The black-dressed man then turned his head and smiled, "All right, stop playing those face-changing games. I saved you just now, and scolded you now. We no longer owe each other anything, and there is no longer a need for you to place this matter in your heart. We are only strangers passing by each other without a chance to meet again. Take care. The people looking for you are probably about to flip the whole city over already." Haha. From afar, the Ling residence was filled with commotion as voices of people shouting and horses neighing could be heard. The guest of the Ling family, the little princess of the Zhou family, was actually abducted on the first night they arrived in the sky-bearing city, in their very own heavily guarded Ling residence. Duke Ling was enraged as he ordered to find the little princess of the Zhou family at all costs, even if they had to overturn all the bricks in the sky-bearing city. The moment the order was given, the whole sky-bearing city broke out into a huge commotion. After the Yang family searched through the whole sky-bearing city in the night, the Ling family, which was also the pillar of the nation, did not want to lose out to them and had their own search of the city. Furthermore, the actions of the Ling and Yang family were only separated by a few days. In the eyes of many people, this coincidence resulted in many different plausible stories being concocted. Is this the omen that something was about to happen? All of a sudden, everyone in the sky-bearing city felt a sense of danger. Some who thought that they were extremely wise even thought that something was going wrong. They actually packed up all of their belongings, so that they would be able to escape at a moment's notice. However, they cannot be blamed for being so careful either. All along, the Ling and Yang family were already like a mirror of each other. As long as something happens in the Yang family, it must have been because of the Ling family. If something happens in the Ling family, it must be because of the Yang family. In the sky-bearing city, this logic was something which was seen as the truth. For these two families to break out into such a huge commotion in just a short few days, everyone could not help but think that both the families were ready to drop all pretense, and break out into war. If that was the case, it would be inevitable for chaos to sweep through the city, and those little businesses and families would definitely be destroyed from the aftermath. Chapter 163, Ling Tian's Heart. The sound of the searching troops gradually approached the area. Zhou Yan-Zoo's face could not help but turn red as she thought to herself, this person can also be considered strange, an unruly person not wanting any repayments for his kindness. In order to make me forget about repaying his kindness, he decided to ridicule me. It appears that I must have misunderstood him previously. She could not help but say with gratitude, I wonder how I can address this brother? Can you let me know your name? Brother protected Yan-Zoo's chastity, and this huge kindness you have bestowed upon me is like giving me new life. Yan-Zoo is extremely grateful, and our Zhou family also thanks you for your kindness. How can such kindness be repaid with a simple word of thanks? The black-dressed man shrugged his shoulders and replied in an unfettered manner, it really isn't much. We will never meet again. Farewell. Without waiting for a reply from Zhou Yan-Zoo, the black-dressed man drifted up into the air and landed on top of a roof. Then, he let out a loud shout, the little princess of the Zhou family is here. Inner chi was imbued within his words, his crisp voice traveling far and wide. Following which, the commotion from afar began to travel towards them. Zhou Yan-Zoo knew that he was about to leave and could not help but shout out, wait a moment brother, can you leave your name behind? As though he did not hear her, or disdain to reply, his body disappeared with a flash, displaying his extraordinary movement techniques. In anxiousness, Zhou Yan-Zoo jumped up the roof and scanned the surroundings. However, the surroundings were completely silent and empty, without a single trace of the black-dressed man. In that moment, she could not help but feel dejected in her heart. Following the rustling of footsteps, Zhou Fengying landed by Zhou Yan-Zoo's side as experts began to rush towards them. As he studied Zhou Yan-Zoo's expression, he asked carefully, Xur, are you alright? His words were filled with concern. While Zhou Fengying was Zhou Yan-Zoo's granduncle, he doted on Zhou Yan-Zoo as though she was his own grandchild. As long as she wanted the stars, he would never give her the moon. While they were only separated for a short moment, his innards were truly twisted up from anxiousness. At the same time, he was also fuming from the fact that the Shangguan family dared to lay their hands on Zhou Yan-Zoo. Zhou Yan-Zoo shook her head, naturally understanding what her granduncle was asking, I am all right. At the same time, she could not help but look around, hoping to see the unbridled silhouette of that black-dressed man. Seeing that Zhou Yan-Zoo was all right, Zhou Fengying could finally be at ease. If anything were to happen to Zhou Yan-Zoo, he, as the elder who brought her out would have definitely lost all his face. Not to mention how his family would react, he would never be able to forgive himself. After hearing Zhou Yan-Zoo's description of the whole affair, especially as he heard about the mysterious expert, Zhou Fengying was also completely bewildered. However, Zhou Yan-Zoo did not have a single memory about their enemies. When Zhou Fengying saw Zhou Yan-Zoo, his original intention to wipe out the Shangguan family was completely forgotten. The large group of them then escorted Zhou Yan-Zoo back to the Ling residence, and it was already past midnight. As Duke Ling and old Madame Ling heard about the news, they came out personally to receive her. Ling Zhou and Chu Tinger were also present, expressing their heartfelt concern to Zhou Yan-Zoo. Knowing that she was all right, all of them felt as though a large burden was lifted from their shoulders. Chu Tinger then hugged Zhou Yan-Zoo in her embrace, consoling her from the fright of the whole incident. Zhou Yan-Zoo thanked the members of the Ling family repeatedly as she looked around, only to realize that not a trace of Ling Tian could be seen. She could not help but be frustrated in her heart as she thought, this silk pants is really a silk pants. Even with such a large affair happening in his own house, he can still sleep so soundly. He is indeed trash. However, Zhou Yan-Zoo was still extremely thankful towards the concern shown to her by the others of the Ling family. At this moment, Ling Tian had already returned to his own courtyard, and changed into a dry set of clothes. Only then did he call Ling Chen over, staring at her without a single word. Seeing the serious look on Ling Tian's face, Ling Chen could not help but blink her eyes and lower her head. While she knew what Ling Tian wanted to ask, she did not know where to start her explanation. Ling Tian then pointed to the chair beside the bed and said gently, "Take a seat and explain what is going on." Ling Chen responded with a and sat down with her head still lowered. She then said softly, "After young noble followed that person out, this servant realized that someone else snuck into the courtyard that the Zhou family was staying at. Thus, I went to take a look and saw that they had knocked the little miss of the Zhou family out with sedatives. This servant wanted to save her, but suddenly remembered something old Madame Ling said." As she explained up until here, she raised her gaze and looked at Ling Tian. Ling Tian then continued her explanation, "You thought about grandmother telling me that I must marry Zhou Yan-Zoo? That's why you let those black-dressed men off? You knew that I was following the black-dressed figure and wanted to give me a chance to save Zhou Yan-Zoo? You want to let me be the hero who saves the beauty? You want me to make use of this opportunity to achieve Zhou Yan-Zoo's heart?" Ling Tian's voice was extremely calm, but every single word of his was filled with a tinge of self-mockery. "Yes." Ling Chen lowered her gaze again. Ling Tian had already listed out her thoughts. While she felt joyful about how Ling Tian was able to read all of her thoughts, she also felt a sense of sourness in her heart. As a lady, she was trying to create a chance for her own man to have another lady as outstanding as her. This was an extremely depressing affair. Even if Ling Chen was completely lost in love with Ling Tian, even if Ling Chen knew that she would never be Ling Tian's wife, it was impossible for her to be unaffected by the matter. "Then, you were afraid that I would not meet them, or that they belonged to two different groups. So, you followed behind them to save Zhou Yan-Zoo if something went wrong?" Ling Tian let out a long sigh and stood up, hugging Ling Chen into his embrace. Ling Chen then leaned on his chest obediently, with a sense of satisfaction in her heart. "Chenner, you still don't understand me." Ling Tian sighed, "In this world, how many ladies would be worth my care and concern? How many ladies would be worth my time to pursue her with all I've got? If it is Bing Yan, she is still barely acceptable. While Bing Yan has a 1,000-year-old family behind her, the Yu family obviously doesn't have such ambitions. Furthermore, Bing Yan gives me a very special feeling, as though she was my little sister. Perhaps, this is related to the things she had experienced since young, making me want to protect her with all I've got. However, if you were to talk about marriage, she may not necessarily be the one. I can only say that Yu Bingyan is indeed important to me without doubt. Then, what about the little princess of the Zhou family? Ms. Zhou is extremely pretty and not a single princess or little Ms. can be compared to her. I believe that even the true appearance of Miss Yu would only be comparable to her. Is young noble not moved at all? Ling Chen asked softly. Pretty? So what? There are far too many pretty girls in this world. Can your young noble have them all? Do I have that sort of ability to claim them all for myself? Ling Tian smiled. If you think that I will be interested in a lady because of her looks, then Chenner, you are really looking down too much on your young noble. I am not interested in collecting flower vases at home. Ling Tian then paused for a moment before continuing. Zhou Yan-Zoo was originally a pre-planned marriage by my grandfather. Back then, I personally destroyed this marriage because of the ambitions of the Zhou family, and their ability to carry out their ambitions. I must admit, if the Zhou and Ling family unites, we will definitely be able to overtake the Sky-bearing Empire in a single night and destroy the Yang family. With the backing of the Zhou family and the geography of the Sky-bearing Empire, being able to launch out attacks in all directions, we do indeed have the chance of uniting the continent. Hee. Ling Chen became depressed. Young noble, isn't this something which you want to do? With such benefits and convenience, why did you? Ling Tian then let out a HMPH and said, if everything which I just talked about came true, the Zhou family will definitely be at the helm, and our Ling family will only be a subordinate family to them. If that's the case, what's the meaning behind that? All of our hard work would then be for the Zhou family to rule the continent. What will we gain from that? Perhaps, we may even end up as cannon fodders and be sacrificed in the process. This is a completely stupid move. How can I, Ling Tian, do something like this? Besides, how can I live under the roof of others? While Zhou Yan-Zoo is indeed a beauty, you must not forget that she is still the little princess of the Zhou family. This status of hers is more than enough for me to distance myself from her. Furthermore, she isn't a simple person either. If she wants to gain my approval, she will have to give up her precious identity in the Zhou family. Besides that, the Zhou family must also be my subordinate. If not, I will not dare to keep her by my side. However, it is almost impossible for these two things to happen. Hee. Ling Tian explained. So that's the case. Young noble, Chenner is wrong and seeks forgiveness. Ling Chen said softly with her head buried in Ling Tian's embrace. Ling Tian let out two HMPHs and kissed her. I have my own plans about my own marriage. Chenner, it will only cause you grievance to participate in such a matter. You can just leave everything to me. Ling Chen could not help but feel her head turn red as her nose itched. With her head buried in Ling Tian's embrace, she replied with a soft Just when the sky-bearing city was becoming lively, the Yu family was completely silent. In the moon-climbing star-picking tower, Yu Man-Lu was seated in front of the window leisurely, appreciating the beautiful scenery in front of him. Although he had been seeing this scenery for a full 10 years, he wasn't tired of it at all, with interest filling his eyes. Listening to the sound of raindrops falling from the outside, his face remained expressionless. Chapter 164, Third Master of the Yu Family. Footsteps could be heard coming from the stairs, and two anxious-looking people approached Yu Man-Lu. They were Yu Man-Lu's two brothers, second brother Yu Man-Tang, and third brother Yu Man-Tian. Big brother, is there really no need for us to send anyone to the sky-bearing city? This is a one-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The youngest of the three, Yu Man-Tian, was 30-plus years old man, with a face full of facial hair and straightforward-looking appearance. He was the most impatient of the three and said hastily, according to Zhu Ling's news, even those from beyond heaven have arrived at the sky-bearing city. Furthermore, all the different powers are treating the sky-bearing city as a big chance and have sent their men there. If we do not make a choice, it will be too late. Big Brother. Beyond Heaven? Hearing this name, a chill gaze flashed past Yumanlu's eyes. So what? Just because Beyond Heaven is there, our Yu family has to be there as well? Idiot. Yuman Tang glared at Yuman Tian. You are really an idiot. Knowing that Beyond Heaven has always been a thorn in Big Brother's heart, you still had to pick such an unsuitable time to mention it. Even if Big Brother had the intention to send someone to the sky-bearing city to appease us, it would probably be ruined by this single phrase of yours. Big Brother, Yuman Tang said carefully, it is extremely peaceful here and there isn't any news from Heavenly Wind. Furthermore, we have to guard against the news which we received from the palace a few days ago. The Crown Prince failed in his marriage proposal but still sent a large number of troops to the sky-bearing city. I am afraid that he will harm Bingyan. Why not you send us 2 brothers to infiltrate into the sky-bearing city secretly with minimal followers? Crown Prince Qingping? Yumanlu sneered, he is just a dancing clown and there is no need to fear him. If we treat him as a crown prince, he would be the crown prince. If we don't treat him as a crown prince, he would be nothing. He thinks that a rotten martial order medallion will be able to protect him? That's nothing more than a dream. While other families may fear Beyond Heaven, our Yu family has no need to fear any other power in the world. Besides, Yumanlu's voice gradually became calm as the anger from hearing the words Beyond Heaven disappeared. The sky-bearing city is filled with dangers and storms. I am still unable to understand the full situation, and it will be a huge risk to join in the fray rashly. I am even thinking if I should pull Bingyan and the rest back to the Yu family, and the both of you actually want to jump into the fray. Are all of you idiots? Big Brother, the matters in the sky-bearing city is only a coincidence. Yuman Tian said with indignance. For someone in the Nangong family to die in such a sensitive period, it is definitely a coincidence. The powers from all over are going there to muddy the waters so they can get a share of the benefits. Just like what Big Brother said, the strength of our Yu family is without any rival. As long as we appear, who would dare fight with us? We will definitely be the biggest winner. Big Brother, how can you not consider the matter at all? Coincidence? The Yu family will be the biggest winner if we join in the fray? Preposterous. Yumanlu pointed his finger at his third brother with anger and disappointment. You. Just when are you going to change this rash personality of yours? Whose territory is the sky-bearing city? Don't tell me you don't know something so simple. Whose territory? Isn't it that Yankonkun's territory? What's the big deal about that? When this little brother here went to the sky-bearing city back then, he even showed me magnificent hospitality. All these years, this little brother has been wanting to expand into the sky-bearing empire, but Big Brother has always been apprehensive about the matter. Is it really so important for us to keep the name of being a great family who does not have any ties to the empires? If we are able to enter the sky-bearing empire, the might of our Yu family will definitely go up another level. At that time, what can that Beyond Heaven do? Yuman Tian was full of conceit, rambling on about his opinions. However, he didn't manage to finish what he had to say. Shut up. You idiot. The usually calm and poised Yumanlu was enraged to the point the veins by his temple bulged. With regards to this insensitive and rash brother of his, Yumanlu was completely speechless. Did the both of you see the documents which I gave you a few days ago? I've seen it. Big Brother, you mean? Yuman Tang frowned. It was precisely because he had seen that document that he was so worried about his daughter in the sky-bearing city. Which document? I've seen it. Big Brother, you are talking about the one regarding the Zhou family, right? Seeing Yumanlu blowing his top, Yuman Tian tried his best to appease his rage, letting out a faint sigh. I really never expected that the strength of the Zhou family would grow so quickly. The world is really like a chess game, difficult to predict what would happen next. By the side, Yuman Tang's face was completely ashen. He looked towards Yu Tian with a face full of pity as he could not help but sigh in his heart. Third brother, forgive your second brother for being unable to help you. You have really smashed into the hornet's nest this time. Hayes, even if you don't know what is going on, you should not spout nonsense. Now. And $exclamation mark at, Yu Manlu's eyes were already as wide as saucers. The usually composed and well-tempered Yu Manlu would always be driven mad by this dear brother of his. After a long while, he roared, "Bastard! Who asked you to see that? If not for the fact that the three of us are the only ones of our generation, I would really want to take out the family laws to teach you a good lesson." This roar was comparable to the lion roar of the Shelline Temple from Ling Tian's previous life. The whole mansion of the Yu family shook from the roar. While Yu Tian was extremely unbridled, he had a lot of respect for his big brother. He also knew that his big brother was at least 100 times better than him. Thus, he conceded in both his mouth and heart immediately. Without asking for the reason, he lowered his head to seek forgiveness. In actual fact, he was completely ignorant as to where he went wrong. Looking at this third brother of his which gave him so much headache, Yu Manlu let out a weak sigh and waved his hands for the both of them to be seated. He then glared at Yu Tian, "You better sit down there quietly without saying a single word. If not, you can scram." Yu Tian replied with an as he was depressed in his heart. At the same time, he thought to himself, "Despite the momentum of my cultivation, I read the news which you sent to me without delay. I really did read everything that you sent me." All of a sudden, his body shook and thought about how someone did indeed send him some document to read when he was cultivating. However, he was in meditation and so he commanded for it to be placed by the side. In the end, he was too engrossed in his cultivation and had completely forgotten about the matter. Could it be that document? Thinking about that, he did not dare to say a single word, sitting by the side like an obedient kitten. Yu Manlu then looked towards Yu Mantang and said, "Second brother, you know about the matter. What opinions do you have with regards to the sky-bearing city?" Yu Mantang thought about the matter carefully before replying, "Nangongla's death is definitely not a mere coincidence. I believe that someone must have intentionally instigated the whole affair to reap benefits from the whole matter. However, the person, or power, who instigated this affair is still unknown. But despite that, this is definitely a huge chance to the various powers. This is without doubt." Yu Manlu let out a sigh and looked at both his brothers. One was rash and addicted to martial arts. The other one was sharp when it came to small matters but muddled when it came to large affairs. He then said with a serious tone, "All of you. Hayes." Turning around to look outside the window, he said with a mellow tone, "This is definitely a good opportunity. It is definitely a huge opportunity. You guys are not the only ones to think about this. All the other powers would have definitely thought about this as well. Thus, they are all running to the sky-bearing city like flies seeing candy. However, have you even wondered if there is someone controlling this whole affair from the background? If there is really someone controlling the whole affair, who would this person be? What is his motive? Why would he be so kind-hearted to create such an opportunity for all the various powers? What exactly are his intentions? Have you guys ever thought about these things?" Yu Mantang blinked for a moment before replying, "Big brother, I know that you are suspecting that silk pants. However, this little brother thinks that this matter may not be controlled by him. How will he be able to control such a huge affair with his capabilities? Perhaps it may just be a mere coincidence. I've said it before, you are not allowed to call him silk pants." Yu Manlu flared, "If he is a silk pants, what can you two be considered to be? It is extremely foolish for you to underestimate an enemy like that." Big brother, second brother, who are you guys talking about?" Yu Tian could not help but ask. "Ling Tian, grandson of Ling Zan, son of Ling Zhou." Yu Mantang replied softly. Ling Tian was speechless for a short while before replying, "Big brother, both you and second brother have your talents. I only like martial arts and my brain isn't very clear. However, what is there to discuss about that little fellow?" Ling was speechless again. There is definitely something which we are still unable to understand. Even if we can't understand it, I can feel that this so-called chance may be a huge trap. Ling frowned. "Furthermore, I suspect that this trap is laid specially for our Yu family." "Ha ha ha, big brother, in the world today, who is capable of plotting against our Yu family? Even those fellows from beyond heaven may not be able to do so. Furthermore, even if someone dares to plan against us, can they possibly succeed? At the very most, this little brother here will take a few white jades over to destroy the Ling family." Ling Tian shouted out. "You?" Ling glanced at his own third brother. "Even if you bring all of your purple jade and white jade men under you, I won't be surprised if all of you won't be able to leave the sky-bearing city." Chapter 165, Lu coming from the south. "Ha ha ha, big brother, you don't know but this little brother here." Just as he wanted to say something, Lu sent a chilly glare at him, and he did not dare to continue. His head, which was originally stretched out, proudly retracted back into his neck, and the words he wanted to say were swallowed. Lu let out a grunt and said with a solemn gaze, "Third brother, I am going to say this once more. While profound martial arts can solve many problems in the world, not everything in the world can be solved by martial arts. The only reason why Beyond Heavens is so powerful and ahead above the rest is because of the logic of not fighting. This is something which all the other powers are not able to do. The reason why our Yu family is incomparable to Beyond Heavens is because we will have to fight eventually. So, I do not want to hear you underestimating or slandering Beyond Heavens. Furthermore, this is also the same with Ling Tian. You can treat him with contempt, but you must never underestimate or ignore him. Do you really know his true strength? You must never let your guard down against an unknown enemy. Do you understand?" Ling Tian then nodded his head obediently in response. While he still looked unconvinced, he did not say another word. Lu then looked at Ling Tang and said, "Second brother, you know about Ling Yan as well. Do you really think that things are so simple?" Ling Tang hesitated for a moment before replying, "Big brother, I am extremely worried about Bing Yan. After all, for Wei Qingping to send men to the sky-bearing city, his main motive will probably be Bing Yan. Regardless of how the situation in the sky-bearing city is, I want to make a trip there." As he said that, he looked towards Lu with a resolute gaze. "Bing Yan is my only daughter, but she contracted an incurable disease since young and do not have much time left. I do not want to let my daughter experience any more hurt in her short and miserable life. I also wish to fulfill all of her wishes as far as possible." Lu became silent for a moment before letting out a long sigh. "If that's the case, I will write a personal letter to Ling Tian, and get the second elder to send it personally. As long as our Yu family doesn't participate in this matter, I believe that Ling Tian will still show our Yu family some face. He is a smart person, and the Yu family is not something which he is able to offend presently." Ling Tang broke out into a smile and was finally at ease. "Thank you, big brother." Lu then frowned. Without a doubt, this matter was definitely planned by Ling Tian. While I still do not know what his true motive is, I am very sure that he has his own plans. For him to boldly approach Bing Yan, I believe he wants to use her as bait to drag our Yu family in because of concern. Then, he began to relax for a bit. Now that our Yu family isn't involved in the whole affair, all of his plans are useless against us. So, he has no choice but to give us some face. But if our Yu family really involve ourselves in this matter, he may not even place me in his sights." While he said that, a mysterious smile could be seen on Lu's face as he thought to himself, "Brat, you are still trying to test us, right? This old man will tell you that I have already found out about your existence. The eyesight of this old man is definitely much better than most others. This time, it is my turn to watch by the side to witness your true strength, at the very least, a portion of your true strength. That very night, a black figure stealthily left the residence of the Yu family with Yu Manlu's handwritten letter. A short while later, another figure left the residence at high speed and disappeared into the darkness. Dawn, in Yu Manlu's room. "What did you say?" Yu Manlu questioned with a fiery gaze as he looked at the second elder in front of him. "Third brother took the letter from you? He went to Sky Bearing alone?" The white-haired second elder was startled. "That's right. First, third master said that it was your intention. For this trip to the Sky-bearing city, there must be someone with sufficient competence to take charge of the matters there. He then gave a strict order for me to not follow him. Since this old man cannot defy him, I can only come back to report this matter to you." Second. As the old man gave his explanation, his mustache was also twirled up from anger. "That brash fellow is obviously trying to say that I am not competent enough. In what way is this old man not competent? In the eyes of the family head, is this old man incomparable to that fool who is foolishly in love with martial arts? While for him to report the matter back, half of it was because of his suspicions and the other half was because of indignance. At the same time, his words were also a way to question the family head. No matter what, this old man is still one of the elders in the Yu family. My martial arts can also be considered to be the middle white jade class, and I will not lose out to anyone else in shrewdness. In what way am I incomparable to that martial arts fanatic? Even if you are biased towards your own younger brother, your words are far too crude. Besides, from the perspective of the family, we should definitely not send a brash fellow who does not know how to scheme at all. This bastard. Unable to accomplish anything but always spoiling my plans." Yu Manlu almost fainted from anger. He only wanted to send the second elder there to drop the letter and return immediately. They must definitely not take part in the affairs of the Sky-bearing city for sure. Furthermore, this was also a way for him to demonstrate his prowess to Ling Tian and give him a warning. Besides that, regardless of how the matters in the Sky-bearing city turns out, as long as his Yu family does not appear, Ling Tian will definitely be warier in future. Yu Manlu will then be able to achieve his goal of impeding Ling Tian. Even if Ling Tian becomes the biggest victor, he would not be able to achieve complete victory. The moment Yu Mantian goes there, the situation would be completely different. While Yu Mantian plays no part in running the family, he was still one of the heavyweights in the Yu family. Regardless of whether he brings men with him or not, his appearance in the Sky-bearing city would signify the participation of their Yu family. If Ling Tian, or anyone else, made use of Yu Mantian's rash personality to create trouble, their Yu family will no longer be able to stay out of the mess. With Ling Tian's top-notch wisdom, how would he let go of this chance given by the heavens? Regardless of how profound his third brother's cultivation was, he was still like a bull in a china shop. If someone wanted to make use of him, how would he be able to avoid that? Third brother You are really going to anger me to death. Yu Manlu flew into an outrage and let out a loud roar. Ever since he became the head of the Yu family, this was the first time he flew into such an outrage. He really felt heartache at the actions of his third brother. The familial ties within the Yu family was extraordinarily strong, and this was something which cannot be seen in the other great families. Because of his anxiousness from concern, the second elder lowered his head without saying a word, but was secretly relieved in his heart. So it was that rash fellow making his own decisions. But with that rash fellow's martial arts, there shouldn't be any problem, right? With a loud bang, the red sandalwood table in front of him was reduced to dust. Yu Manlu then stood up and paced around the room with his brows furrowed. The second elder was startled as he thought to himself, the family head usually conceals himself very well. I never expected his inner chi to be developed to such a profound level. It seems that his is already at the middle gold jade class. So, it isn't just third brother Yu. Even the family head has reached such a profound level. I should probably just keep all my other thoughts and just mind my own business. Actually, family head do not need to be so worried. Third master achieved another breakthrough in his martial arts recently, and this old man is incomparable to him. If family head isn't at ease, this old man can gather a few experts and rush to the sky-bearing city through the night to aid third master. Knowing that it wasn't Yu Man Lu's intention to revoke his mission, the anger of the second elder was quickly appeased. Instead, he began to worry for Yu Man Tian. This was the Yu family. If such a thing happened in any other family, it would definitely not be settled so peacefully. Yu Man Lu's face was calm as he paced around the room twice. After a long while, he said, "Forget it. For him to go alone, we will still be able to salvage the situation if something happens to him. But if we were to send more men there, it may only cause more chaos. It would also be a good thing to let third brother suffer a bit. At the very most, no one would dare to take his life with our Yu family as his backing. Besides that, the letter in his hands would be his best protective talisman when it is sent to Ling Tian's hands. In Yu Man Lu's heart, the gathering of all powers in the sky-bearing city cannot be a mere coincidence. It must definitely be arranged by someone. This person can only be him, and Yu Man Lu had never suspected anyone else. Apart from the little fellow, Ling Tian, who he had never been able to see through, it was impossible for anyone else to lay out such a plan. Although Yu Man Lu was uncertain about Ling Tian's motives, he had long made a decision in his heart. Because he was uncertain, Yu Man Lu was extremely cautious. He would never step into that little fellow's plan rashly. But for his third brother to go to the sky-bearing city, it was equivalent to his own Yu family stepping into the mess. This made Yu Man Lu feel as though he had just lost the upper hand. While it wasn't his error, he was still extremely depressed. However, it was also for the same reason that Yu Man Lu wasn't worried about Yu Man Tian. As long as Ling Tian was the one running the scene in the background, Ling Tian would definitely not kill Yu Man Tian at the risk of offending the whole Yu family. Even if the other powers wanted to do so, Ling Tian would definitely stop them. Thus, there was no need to doubt Yu Man Tian's safety at all. After thinking things through, Yu Man Lu let out a long sigh as he lifted up his head to the white clouds and muttered, "Third brother. When can you make me not worry about you? Since you love martial arts, isn't it enough for you to just spend your time studying it?" The second elder stood by the side and heard Yu Man Lu mumbling to himself. Then, he thought about something. "Family head, this old man forgot to report something important to you. Third master's martial arts had already advanced into the gold jade class. The speed of his improvement is really..." "Oh?" Yu Man Lu thought about the matter for a while before saying, "If that's the case, then... it may be a good move for third brother to go there." Yu Man Lu suddenly seemed to be at ease as he revealed a mysterious smile. Chapter 166, Nangong's Conditions. Sky-bearing City. The great blessing in where the Nangong family was staying at. Due to the large amount of troops they brought, they decided to just rent the whole inn. Peng. A middle-aged man slammed the table and snarled, "Yang Kongku, you are really vicious. You will definitely not let matters rest if you don't wipe out my Nangong family. If that's the case, how would I, Nangong Yanlong, let you off so easily?" Nangong Yanlong. This middle-aged man was the family head of the Nangong family, Nangong Tianling. He had hidden himself in the troops of the Nangong family indeed. In front of him, Nangong Tianhu and the number 1 junior of the Nangong family, Nangong Wuming, was seated. Behind them, a frail-looking lady with vengeance-filled eyes was seated. She was Nangong Yu. Are you certain that those were the words he said?" Thinking about it, Nangong Tianlong could not help but feel puzzled. Just what is he doing here? This is just too puzzling. Yes, there is definitely no mistake. After Yang Kongku went back to the mansion, almost everyone was discussing about why he chose to withdraw his troops. Everyone in the mansion was trying to decipher the meaning of the words, "The high heavens have no beyond, the great mountains countless kilometers." Father, do you know what those words mean? That person had incredible martial arts, and there wouldn't be many people in the sky-bearing empire with the ability to kill Brother Le. So, it is very likely for him to be. Nan Gongyu was extremely bewildered. Why would Nan Gonglu withdraw his troops after hearing those words? Why would her invincible father have such a strange expression after hearing those words? Don't tell me those words contain magical powers within them. Nan Gong Tianlong's face was extremely ugly. At that time, did Yang Kongku announce that he was the murderer of Le? This was the thing which truly angered Nan Gong Tianlong. Yang Kongku, aren't you a little too cruel? You actually proclaimed that he was the murderer of my son in front of a few thousand people. Then, you just dust your ass and leave. Aren't you a little too despicable? Since you said something like that, the world would laugh at us for being cowards if we don't investigate the matter, not daring to even investigate the death of my own son. So, even if that person isn't the murderer, our Nangong family will still have to investigate it on the surface. But, with his status, would it be easy to investigate the matter? If we were to really investigate the matter, our whole Nangong family may be destroyed in the process. Yang Kongku. FK year. Damn it. This was the first time Nan Gongyu witnessed her father scolding such profanities without a care for his image. His voice was filled with boundless anger and frustration. Even if you found out about my plans and killed my son, it is no more than a mere plan of yours, and I can let the matter rest after collecting my debts with you. But you, this old bastard, actually want to push my Nangong family to the edge of death. It's either your death or mine. Nangong Tianlong grit his teeth in anger as a crazed malevolent glare shone in his eyes. Originally, he only wanted to come to the sky-bearing empire to seek an explanation from Yang Kongku. After all, this wasn't the time for both their families to drop all pretense. Things would be settled after he extorted a good fortune out from Yang Kongku. As for the blood debt of his own son, he would slowly collect it in future. However, he never expected to hear such a piece of news on his first day here at the sky-bearing city. This old fellow, Yang Kongku, actually did not have the least bit of guilty conscience, and wanted to direct my attention to the Ling family. If it was just the Ling family, it wouldn't matter. But this fellow just had to drive me to go against Beyond Heavens. Damn it, can our Nangong family provoke an existence like Beyond Heavens? While there aren't many people in Beyond Heavens, any random person from that sect would easily massacre most of my family. Can they still be considered human? They are all no different from Death Reapers. Brother's corpse is still in the ice cellar of the Yang family. Father, should we? Nan Gongyu muttered as the rims of her eyes turned red. Despite seeing her father's bad mood, she still decided to ask the question. After all, her brother had passed away for a few days already. Not only did he not return home, he had not been buried to rest either. As Nangong Tianlong heard that request, his eyes also turned dim. Let him stay there for a while longer. The weather is now warm and the decomposition of his body would speed up if we shift him out from the ice cellar. It wouldn't be too late for us to receive Ler back to the family after settling the matters here. That old thief Yang wouldn't dare to damage Ler's body anyway. He would still have to protect his reputation after all. Tianhu. Nangong Tianlong looked at his younger brother. When you visit Yang Kongku tomorrow, you must definitely seek an explanation from him. First, the Yang family must definitely take responsibility for the death of Ler, and someone must accompany him to the grave. Second, the granddaughter of Yang Kongku is already betrothed to Ler, and is part of my Nangong family. Our Nangong family will naturally have our own rules. We must definitely bring her back to the Nangong family with us, and this matter cannot be discussed. 3rd, our Nangong family will take over all the businesses the Yang family have in the south. Ah. Hearing the harsh conditions which Nangong Tianlong gave, not to mention Nangong Yu, even the usually vicious Nangong Tian who had his mouth open up wide from shock. Brother, isn't this a little inappropriate? Of these conditions, that old man Yang will probably be able to accept the first condition. After all, he can just find a few servants or the guards present that night. But for the second and third condition, Yang Kongku will definitely not accept them. Especially the third condition, that's almost half of the Yang family's assets and he definitely won't agree to it. Wrong. Nangong Tianlong gave a devious smile. Under normal circumstances, Yang Kongku would probably make such a decision. But now that all the powers of the continent are gathered here, the Yang family cannot afford to lose its strength. As long as Yang Kongku agrees to the first and second condition, the hearts of those in the Yang family will definitely waver. In such delicate times, wavering hearts will definitely lead to their destruction. Thus, Yang Kongku would rather start a war with us than to agree to the first two conditions. As for the third condition, he has no choice but to agree to it. My motive is also the third condition. Big brother is wise. Nangong Tian who could not help but be filled with admiration. Big brother is big brother indeed. It is probably impossible for me to come up with such an idea in this lifetime of mine. Tell Yang Kongku that if he doesn't agree, our Nangong family will make preparations to build ties with the Ling family, and go to war with their Yang family. We will definitely wipe out their Yang family. Nangong Tianlong let out a cunning smile. With the strength of their Nangong family, the Ling family would probably be glad for them to help eliminate the Yang family. At the same time, Meng Lijie was tossing around in his bed restlessly. His eyes were opened as he lay down on his bed, listening to the sound of raindrops outside the window. Meng Lijie was extremely frustrated. Being the first external power to enter the sky-bearing city, Meng Lijie enjoyed the best treatment after they handed over the official notice of visit, and they were arranged to stay in the guest house of the imperial palace. Meng Lijie understood that the sky-bearing empire was giving both their Northern Wei and the Yu family face. If he was alone, it would be impossible for him to receive such treatment. Along the way, Meng Lijie was both frustrated and disappointed to the extreme. His assistant, Shi Yitan, was a trusted aide of the crown prince. While Shi Yitan was his assistant on the surface, Shi Yitan seemed to be at odds with him all the time, with the subtle intention to spy on him. Meng Lijie did not have a choice but to be on full alert. Thinking about all the past events, Meng Lijie realized that he knew far too many secrets that he shouldn't have known. While they were all divulged to him by the crown prince himself, it would be impossible for him to lead a carefree life after knowing these secrets. Listening to the rain, Meng Lijie's eyes were solemn as the words "the birds are gone, the bow is hidden" one came into his mind. While the birds were not gone and his wisdom had not been put to use, Wei Chengping had obviously begun to grow worried about him. Especially after seeing the vicious look on the crown prince's face, Meng Lijie was sure that this usually virtuous crown prince probably had the intention to kill him. Meng Lijie let out a bitter laugh. I can't imagine that I would misjudge him with my keen eyesight. Thinking about the trump card Wei Chengping prepared to deal with Yu Bingyan, Meng Lijie was certain that the same treatment would await him when he returns to Northern Wei. With a long sigh, Meng Lijie shut his eyes and thought about a plan to escape. This long night finally passed and the rain had already ceased. The flood in the sky-bearing city was already a foot deep with no sign of it subsiding at any time. The moat outside the city had already turned into a turbulent river, with turbid water surging. This once-in-100 years thunderstorm had resulted in everyone from the sky-bearing city shutting themselves at home, and trying their best to get rid of the flood. On the streets, apart from the murky flood waters, not a single person could be seen. Even the patrol squads of the capital did not make an appearance today. After all, The troops from the patrol squads were also human and no one would blame them in such a special scenario. Besides, it would probably be impossible for anyone to commit a crime in such a weather. In the Ling mansion, the flood waters were already more or less settled. The numerous guards were holding onto wooden pots and buckets to pour out all the water in the mansion. In front of the Ling mansion, there was even a miniature dam that was built to divert all the water away from their mansion. Chapter 167, A Smile Through Life. Dressed in a pristine white robe, Ling Tian held onto a jade green flute and sat on a comfortable chair by his window. A warm smile could be seen on his face as he reminisced about his past life, where he and his siblings would go fishing in a small stream when they were younger. They would build a small mud dam upstream of the stream and another one downstream. Then, the few of them would scoop out all the water in the center portion like excited little monkeys. Finally, the fishes would then be seen bouncing around in the remaining shallow water. At that time, Xur, Menger, Ling Zhao. Then, a bitter smile could be seen on Ling Tian's face as the thoughts seemed so distant to him. At that time, all of them were probably only about 5 or 6 years old. Furthermore, that was probably the only fragment of his memory where they were not fighting and scheming against each other. It was really a pity that the good days just can't be kept. Unknowingly, Ling Tian had already brought the flute up to his mouth and a melodious tune filled the room. It was as though the tune came from the heavens, with the heavens drifting and clouds floating with the melody. However, the heavenly tune seemed to carry with it an eternal pain, lingering through eternity. Is this the true meaning of the saying the eternal world will have its end, but this hatred will never fade? While the melody of the flute sounded gentle and graceful, it was also bold and intense at the same time. Furthermore, there was a sense of bitterness and desolation carried in the depths of the melody. All of a sudden, this desolate melody seemed to echo throughout the whole Ling residence. Everyone who heard it felt a strange emotion rising in their hearts. It was as though they had already grown old, leisurely spending their remaining time after witnessing the sweetness, bitterness, sourness and spiciness of life. Behind Ling Tian, Ling Chen was dressed in white as she experienced the desolate emotions of the melody. Her whole heart was immersed in the melody, as her eyes were filled with tears. After the shock from the previous night, Zhou Yan-Zoo was presently resting in her room. Just when she raised the teacup to her lips, she was stunned by the melody of the flute floating over into her ears. In her life, this was the first time she heard such a melody, so depressing yet beautiful. She never imagined that there would be such a talented musician in the Ling family. In that moment, everyone in the Ling family stopped what they were doing and fully immersed themselves into the beautiful melody. Without an exception, every one of them felt that the beauty of this melody was something that they had never heard before in their life. The melody was modern, with a tinge of antiquity, and was filled with dense emotions which involuntarily drew the hearts of everyone to resonate with it. The melody from the flute lingered through the Ling mansion unendingly, as Ling Tian also felt exceedingly sentimental in his heart. This was one of Ling Tian's favorite piece from his previous life, A Smile Through Life. Playing this piece again, Ling Tian's heart was filled with an indescribable mood. He felt as though his heart was void of love and hatred, only filled with sourness, bitterness, melancholy, and a deep longing for someone who understood him. It was as though his soul was wrenched up in an endless pain. The long rivers and unending waters, the heavens proud of itself. It is time for the eyes of one to be enlightened. It is not too early to proclaim the goodness of life. Let the later generation quarrel about the right and wrong. The wooden boat floats through the river, enjoying the surrounding scenery with a smile. The adolescents tangle with their emotions, repeating that process time and time again. North, south, east, west, there are far too many troubles in the world. It is best to view all these troubles with a calm heart. Who can determine victory and defeat with a single glance? The fleeting world affairs are the hardest to predict. Spring, summer, autumn, winter, the tides are always changing. Realizing that you are too calculative, You are already old. Why not enjoy life to the fullest together? The greatest fear is the lack of an intimate friend. Author's note, fellow brothers and sisters, this is definitely a beautiful song to enjoy. Be it the lyrics or melody, it is definitely a classic. It was as though an inaudible voice was singing the lyrics in Ling Tian's heart. The memories which had been sealed away surfaced in his heart all over again. Unknowingly, the melody of the flute became gentler, like a rivulet of water flowing in the palm of his hands. The worldly affairs were his only company as he let out an unhurried and silent complaint. After the song was over, Ling Tian felt as though he had woken up from a dream. Only then did he realize that his face is already completely wet. The song had brought out the emotions hidden deep within his heart. As Ling Chen heard the song, she could hear the dense emotions in the heart of her beloved man. Just how many people in this world would understand the desolation in his heart? Ling Chen could not help but feel her heart ache, but she did not know how to comfort Ling Tian. She could only dive into his embrace to melt his frozen heart with her warmth and gentleness. Even if there isn't anyone in the world to understand him, he would have the company of his loved ones at the very least. Young noble, what is this song? It is really beautiful. But it is also really. It was as though Ling Chen could not find an appropriate word to describe the song. However, her words startled Ling Tian awake. Just what is wrong with me today? Why am I so high profile today? This song is called A Smile Through Life. The desolate emotion of the song is because of the fear of not finding someone in life who understands you. Chenner, with you to accompany me through life, it is my fortune from 3 lifetimes. Ling Tian then said unhurriedly, Chenner, you must not say that I was the one who blew this piece later. If not, you will have a lot of love rivals appearing. Remember, this piece was performed by you. You are the talented person forced to serve as silk pants and have no one understand you in this life of yours. Thus, you created this song. Haha, let me teach this song to you later. Ling Chen's face turned red as she thought, if young noble is called a silk pants, just who can be called a genius in this world? Such a beautiful song, such a talented person. For young noble to treat me as his bosom friend, it is my fortune from 3 lifetimes. At the same time, she was also worried about how many beauties would love this talented young noble of hers who was both talented in both martial and literary arts. Presently, he was only putting on an outer silk pants coat. But, gold would glitter eventually and a famous sword would definitely reveal its shine eventually. The moment her young noble reveals his multifaceted talents, who knows how many ladies would fall head over heels for him. Now that I am the only one by young noble's side, I would naturally be able to enjoy all of his gentleness and sweetness. But what about the future? What if? Seeing how a phrase said half-jokingly made Ling Chen so worried, Ling Tian could not help but be amused. All of a sudden, the depressing mood in his heart was completely swept away. He then could not help but pinch her nose lightly. Chenner, what are you thinking about? Did you hear my instructions? I am afraid. Afraid that the young noble would be stolen away. Being in a daze, she blurted out whatever was on her mind the moment she heard Ling Tian's question. She only realized her mistake after the words left her mouth and her face turned bright red. She then buried her head in Ling Tian's embrace as she began to stomp her feet and whine. This lass, you are actually able to perform such a beautiful song. Thankfully, this #1 silk pants of the capital snatched you over. Haha. Ling Tian said half-jokingly. Ling Chen raised her eyebrows and looked at Ling Tian with a gentle pair of eyes. Just when she was about to reply, a commotion sounded from the outside. It seems that her fans are here. Ling Tian laughed to himself bitterly. A mere action done at the spur of the moment had actually created so much trouble for him. However, Ling Chen was definitely the one who blew that piece. Perhaps, no one would ever believe that such a mesmerizing song could be actually performed by this infamous silk pants young noble. Perhaps only a fairy like Ling Chen would be able to perform such a feat. The first person to arrive was actually Zhou Yan-Zoo. With her crazed passion for music, she was completely immersed and lost in the soul-piercing song. If she doesn't ask this expert in front of her to give her a pointer or two, wouldn't it be the biggest regret of her life? Thus, after finally walking out from the entrapment of the song, Zhou Yan-Zoo had sprinted over expectantly. However, who would have expected that the first person she met would be the very face which disgusted her? Her mood was completely ruined. Thinking about how the song traveled from near here, she suppressed the disgust in her heart and took a bow with a frown. Young noble Ling, who was the one blowing the flute previously? Blowing the flute? What blowing the flute? Oh, that irritating noise? Ling Tian let out a yawn. It sounded completely like a ghost crying, disturbing my beauty sleep. Darn lass, why are you blowing that wretched song for no good reason? See, now someone is here to find trouble with you. Go and explain the matter yourself. As he said that, his right hand, which was behind his back, rubbed the flute gently and it flew towards Ling Chen's hands in a mystical trajectory. You! How dare you say that? Zhou Yan-Zoo's face changed. He was just too unbearably vulgar. Just when she wanted to turn around to walk away, she could not help but think about the black-dressed man who saved her last night. From the figure and voice of that black-dressed man, he shouldn't be too old. Looking at this drowsy-looking Ling Tian in front of her, she could not help but lament in her heart, despite looking like a complete human, why doesn't he know how to speak like one? They are both so young but with such a stark difference. Ms. Zhou, that wretched song was played by this servant. I have brought disgrace to your ears and I seek punishment from Miss. Ling Chen said with a gentle, but yet prideful, tone. Since the young noble said that I was the one who blew the piece, so be it. Very soon, young noble will teach it to me and I am the only one who can receive his teachings at any time and anywhere. Oh, it was indeed performed by Miss Ling Chen. Only someone as elegant as Miss Ling Chen would be able to perform such a mesmerizing song. Yan-Zoo deeply admires you in my heart. Why not? Zhou Yan-Zoo already had an extremely favorable impression of Ling Chen. It wasn't only because of her good looks, but also because of the elegance she exuded. It made Zhou Yan-Zoo feel as though she was looking at a piece of pure and icy jade. This made the usually proud Zhou Yan-Zoo feel as though she found a bosom friend. At the same time, she also felt great regret that Ling Chen was so loyal to Ling Tian. If not for this silk pants, Zhou Yan-Zoo would be extremely willing to become good friends with Ling Chen. As she heard that the beautiful song was played by Ling Chen, she did not just sigh about how Ling Chen did not get the praise she deserved for her talents. For such a talented lady to become a maidservant for someone like Ling Tian, it was definitely a blasphemy of a heavenly treasure, sorrowful to the extreme.